fun. Sports should be interesting. Sports should be entertaining. Sports should be riveting. This is CVM Sports. I'm Jordan Freight.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Wagwan people, it's episode 4, and things are only getting hotter and hotter this season. Them players I'm pass every day. My friend,
Good morning.
I am so excited because we're going to Church on a Rock.
I really experienced God at Church on the Rock.
Listen, we're going to a church that if you never hear about it, is because your ears were closed.
When I see my problems.
Every time you a link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Do it for your best life.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is
12 p.m.
It's Friday, February 14, 2025. Happy Love Day. Welcome to CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. The government has set aside an additional $2 billion for parliamentary elections, which must be held by September. The allocation is outlined in the proposed 2025-2026 budget, tabled in Parliament Tuesday by Finance Minister Favour Williams. This brings the total election funding to approximately $2.3 billion, including over $300 million already approved last month. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is the only one authorized to call the election, with signs pointing to a possible mid-year vote. At a political rally on Sunday, CVM TV News had reported that West Central St. Catherine MP Dr. Christopher Tufton, who's also a cabinet minister, suggested the country could be headed to the polls as early as June or July. The budget, which outlines key spending priorities for the next financial year starting April 1, must be debated and passed before March 31. And work is set to begin on the Craig Mill Bridge in Buff Bay, Portland, after it collapsed under the weight of a loaded truck weeks ago. Works Minister Robert Morgan says the incident has officially been declared a disaster.
This area is to give access to persons, primarily foot traffic. You would have seen videos circulating online with children stuck on one side of the water that was in spate, of the river that was in spate, unable to cross. We would have seen residents waiting for hours. It is a risk to life and property, and I as Minister with responsibility for work, support the declaration by Minister Mackenzie to declare this area a disaster area. For my part, I'll be engaging with the head of the National Works Agency, Mr. Hunter, so that we also can look at whatever emergency facilities exist through our legislation to assist in the creation of a temporary structure, as well as facilitating in collaboration with ODPEM and a permanent bridge for the people of this area.
And a major urban and tourism hub is facing planning challenges due to unclear city boundaries and hazardous animal rearing. The Montego Bay Mayor has announced new proposals to officially redefine the city's limits. Here's Courtney Lewis.
Hazardous animal rearing and traffic congestion continue to plague the bustling city of Montego Bay in St. James. It's why the town's mayor is proposing outlined geographical boundaries to regulate the town's activity.
There is no record of a gazetted boundary of the city. Consequently, no proper uniformity exists in city data, which poses significant challenges for urban planning, city management, and profiling. Therefore, under the guidance of NEPO, The St. James Municipal Corporation proposes the aforementioned boundary as the city limits.
The mayor started with the prohibition of animal rearing within the town, which has proven to be a nuisance, especially in the business district.
The proposed administrative boundaries of Montego Bay are a pivotal step in this journey, and the consideration for it to be declared a restricted area for the keeping of animals derives from a surge in complaints about hazards associated with stray animals and reports of nuisance arising from animal rearing under less than ideal conditions.
But there is some workaround for residents interested in farming.
It must be noted that restriction does not mean animals cannot be kept within the zone. Those who desire to keep animals within this area will have to apply to the municipal corporation for a license, which will be granted once the space to keep the animal is adequate, the necessary amenities are in place, and no health hazard or nuisance will arise from the designated space.
And as for traffic congestion, the mayor believes clear boundaries can provide key data to help improve infrastructure policy.
For example, the percentage of the population that requires mass transit, the rate of the population that commutes via taxis, the number of taxis, road usage, and the list goes on. Critical information such as this will assist with policy formulation and priority projects to reduce congestion and enhance connectivity.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Not everyone could pay tribute to the late Jesse Ripoll principal, laid to rest recently. CVM News found a teacher honoring his legacy in a Kingston 4 community, going the distance for students in a way he would have approved. Here's Curlin Brown.
The usual Saturday atmosphere at the Almontown Primary on February 8 was different since the September 14, 2024 literacy program, Read to Lead, being executed jointly between the Optimist Club of Barbican Pines, the Rotary Club of St. Andrew, and the co-ed institution kicked into gear. The students were out in their numbers, and so was the team. But of note, the teacher wore black and white, and the parent volunteer, Cheryl Barrett, had on black. The message coming together from the head of the class shared grief for two lives from a distance, while others gathered to celebrate and remember the impact of two stalwarts on the lives of children and the society in general.
I am Sonia Huey. I'm a teacher at Almontown Primary, been in the field for 39 years. I'm here helping the kids to read, to learn to read better, and I really want to be there, but we're duty call we must obey, and I didn't want to disappoint the children, so I came, but I'm still standing in solidarity with those who mourn, because he was here when our principal passed last term at the beginning, and now he's gone at the beginning of another term. So
what is the legacy that he has left behind for you as it relates to this school in particular?
He's one that other principals wanted to emulate. His school is one that we always looked up to, the Jesse Ripoll, and that school is an icon in Kingston and St. Andrew and all the other schools. Look up to that school in that we share in workshop. We are all a part of 2EC1, and it's a great loss to education.
The completed message read, remembering the late O'Neill Stevens, an educator, and his wife, Kamisha, forever in our hearts. The couple's children and a grandmother were inside a defected motor car, which was parked along a thoroughfare in the United States. The principal and his wife were outside when another motorist slammed into them. Curlin Brown, CVM News.
Jamaican consumers and manufacturers could soon feel the impact of a 25% U.S. tariff on steel and aluminium set to take effect on March 12. The move is expected to drive up costs for businesses relying on these materials, pushing the prices up for consumers. Local manufacturers dependent on the imports from China and the U.S. may face higher costs for packaging, aluminum cans and steel components, expenses likely to be passed on to consumers. And with that, we take a quick break. More when we return.
treated with natural herbs and regular usage will improve strength, stamina, and performance. Black Stallion now has horny goat weed to give maximum satisfaction. Black Stallion now has strong back roots to strengthen your upper and lower back muscle. Know your Black Stallion.
For strength, stamina, and performance, Black Stallion, the bedroom tonic. Bring out the stallion in you.
What do these people know that you don't know? They understand how listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange can improve the profitability of their company. They know the potential for increasing the company's capital, the governance requirements, the tax responsibilities, the ownership implications, and the procedures for listing. They have the knowledge to make an informed decision on whether or not to go public. Knowledge is power. If you don't know, you can't act. Begin a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange to gain the information you need to make a decision.
I'm Stafford Burrows.
I'm Marilyn Burrows.
My name is Hugh Graham.
I'm John Mafood.
My name is Derek Cottrell, and we are listed on the Jamaica Junior Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Welcome back. It's time for our discussion segment. On March 12, President Donald Trump plans to implement a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum products entering the United States. This decision has raised concerns among various stakeholders, particularly within the business community, about its potential impact. Joining us to discuss the implications of this impending policy are Metri Siaga, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, and International Trade Specialist Dania Ashpole. Again, welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us.
Mr. Siaga, let's kick things off with you. From the perspective of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, what are the immediate concerns regarding the 25% tariff?
Well, I think it's more the direction that we see the U.S. going in and want to be careful that it doesn't extend to other products and other things that we export to the U.S. or have the ability to export to the U.S.
I see.
One of the things that I personally feel very strongly about is that Jamaica needs to develop itself as a global logistics hub and start to export and take advantage of the CBI initiative, which we have not so done in the past. And certainly if tariffs were put on us or the CBI were to go away, that would have a serious effect on us being able to implement that.
Right, Mr. Siaga, we're going to come back to that point later on in our conversation. But to you, Ms. Ashpole, how might these tariffs affect international trade relationships, particularly with countries that are major exporters of steel and aluminum products to the U.S.? Just paint that picture for our audience.
I mean, I think the picture has been painted, but I think what is more important is, as Metri said, ensuring that we utilize the advantages that we currently have under the CBI. Now, if we recall, President Trump also spoke on extending the tariff just before he entered into office, 20% on all imports to the U.S., which would obviously affect us as well. We also understand that in terms of existing agreements, just as he would have basically implemented the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, even in the face of having an agreement with them, then we're not completely out of the woods having the CBI and feeling safe with that. So looking at alternate suppliers for inputs into our manufacturing processes, looking at what are the opportunities, especially for Jamaicans. We will have other countries that are currently exporting to the United States and are subject to the tariff. They may be looking for investment in other countries that don't currently have the threat of those tariffs. And so while there are challenges, obvious challenges, and we should be worried. I think at this point, we need to be looking at how do we shore up ourselves to benefit from these sweeping tariffs.
Brilliant. Mr. Siaga, how agile would you say is our business community? You had mentioned earlier that the direction is concerning. So if the President of the United States or the US government by extension decides to issue other tariffs, yes, how confident are you that our local business community will be able to pivot?
Very confident. Listen, we as a people are very creative. We turn on and make fashion. So I am not concerned that we won't find solutions. It's just that we have to foresee the problem and make sure that we are ahead of it rather than behind it. And when it happens, we are scrambling.
Right.
The truth is, though, that these things are coming fast and furious, and they're almost impossible to predict.
Impossible to predict. Ms. Ashpole, if they're impossible to predict, as Metro Siaga says, how do you suggest we go about shoring up or resilience here, like you had suggested earlier?
Regional supply, regional production, drawing more on our relationship with the CARICOM region. Jamaica has shown its resilience in supplying the region, so expanding that and looking at products that those countries typically would take from the US, or those products that would come through the US that would now be subject to higher tariffs going to those regional partners, and presenting Jamaica and Jamaican products as viable options to those imports. So it will take some analysis of the products that are currently coming into our Caribbean neighbors, and just ensuring that, and in large part, as Metro said, we have a resilient private sector. And so I believe that we can find some substitutes, but it will take some work in terms of looking at what is currently being imported by our regional partners so that we can fill those gaps, and also to establish closer relationships with our Latin American partners as well.
Right. Mr. Siaga, how open are our local business interests to collaborating with our Latin American partners and other partners who might be open to collaborating at this point in time? How open are those interests?
Extremely open. Capital and business goes where the money is and where the available options are for us. So, yeah, we're gonna go where we can. The U.S. is a huge market. It's a rich market, and it's one that we want to have a relationship with. And the truth is that the tariffs that are charged on U.S. products are very low in Jamaica. We adhere to the World Trade Organization's rules, and the truth is the tariff structure in Jamaica is very, very low except for a few products. So I don't see that as being an issue. And the products that have high duties here, we can't export into the U.S. because of bias. So I'm still hopeful that President Trump is going to see Jamaica as a fair trading partner to date and not trouble any of their residents here.
Ms. Ashpole, today we're talking about measures that the U.S. will be implementing, the 25% tariffs coming into effect soon. We've seen the retaliatory measures from other countries, yes? As an international trades expert, what does all of this suggest about a possible future for consumers?
Higher prices in the immediate term. At the end of the day, the tariffs do pass on to consumers. But again, I want to, because there's nothing we can do about the measures that President Trump deems fit for his country. And so the only option that we have really is to pivot and to look at the opportunities. And a significant opportunity, as Metro said, we have proven ourselves as a good trading partner, abiding by the rules of the World Trade Organization. And so you may have U.S. companies who traditionally would have had production in China, who want to move to a nearshore location like Jamaica to produce their goods. Metro spoke about establishing ourselves as a logistics hub, and so that becomes extremely important in the face of this. It's interesting times for international trade, being able to pivot and pivot quickly. And to be able to be ahead of these things are important. So I wouldn't want to paint that negative picture of panic. Rather, I would urge Jamaican businesses to look at the opportunities that are presented here. We are we are seeing, you know, these tariffs come and they're rolled back, they're delayed for a month. We don't know what will happen. So it's a matter of ensuring that we are agile enough to respond to the changes. That is what I'd say in this case.
Very well. And Mr. Siago, talking about leveraging opportunities, what are the options available for our local countrymen here?
Listen, the opportunities are there, and there are some that we don't even know about yet. We have to watch the landscape very carefully and take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. So right now, the opportunity that's presenting itself is that we have a free trade agreement. The